Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the episode of
Investigating the Big Red Blob.
I've really got to avoid getting into a habit of putting too many of those in. But yeah, welcome back to Bob's Angels, episode 25. Start off the episode just looking at what I've done in between the previous episode and this one. I've continued to expand the solar and accumulator while we wait for ammunition and turret production to stockpile a bit so that we can do this episode. I also fixed this coal loading bit for the train because I didn't put a filter on it and it was trying to load the train with Javolite. One thing I was supposed to do in between episodes that I didn't was drive up here and deal with these bases because this isn't really what I want this episode to be about, and I have no idea how long this is going to take to deal with, even if it does work. I've had a lot of rumours about these bugs in the game. It is a bug from what I've heard and how I understand it at least, but we're going to go and investigate. So yeah, that's going to happen in a moment. We just deal with these biter bases, and there's a couple of other things back in the factory I want to deal with before I leave. I just like to keep on top of this area until we get some sort of proper defences in to stop biters from pushing out. But yeah, there's more killing that needs to be done to do that, and I couldn't be bothered this episode. I've been doing it a hell of a lot, so I want to keep it a bit of variety. So we also come and sort the turrets out here, which are clearly getting pushed too hard, but we don't stick around too long because we're just going to trigger biter attacks and it's just going to cause damage. But yeah, another thing, my past self did demo at the start there. If you have a look at my weapon / nanobot thing, I did sort out the Q key. There was too many things assigned to Q, so I've changed the change weapon option to a button on my mouse. So I'm no longer having issues when using the picker mod and, yeah, dropping items because it kept changing which weapon I had. So that's finally sorted. I just wish I'd done it ages ago. I can't believe I've not done it already. It's so much better now. So the other thing I want to do is put in this switch for the power. As we've expanded solar and accumulators so much in between the episode, I reckon we're good enough to do it, to try and reduce the amount of coal we're using and reduce the pollution produced here. So we cut the power off coming off the back of the steam engines because we want this to be isolated. And we've reconnected the rail network back down at the smelting area. So I come up to redo the power poles because they're not exactly placed ideally. And then I realised I haven't got enough tin and a few other bits and bobs to build the next mark of power poles so that they cover enough ground to cover the inserters. I do have burner inserters there, which probably won't really be needed anymore. They'll always be able to power off the solar or the little bit of hot water in there. So we put the poles in for each of the 3 lines and then we isolate them from each other. So each line is going to have 20 steam engines in 2 rows and 3 stages that they'll switch on. So we put in the 3 switches. We're going to ignore those attacks and deal with them in a bit when we go down. And then we start connecting the circuit together. So we connect that up to the main system, but we isolate it again because we need it to go through the switch. So each switch is going to be a different stage. So it's going to go 40, 60, 80. So if the accumulator drops below 80%, first row will turn on. If it drops below 60, second, and 40 for the third. So we get those wired in with some extra poles. I kind of thought we could wire them together to make it look nice, but no, it doesn't allow it to pass through. So we hook that to the accumulator, which is giving us our signal by the letter A, I guess. And we set each one to power on if the percentage is less than whatever number we enter. So we take a look at it for a little bit. The first row, top row turns off, then eventually the second, and it just sits nicely on the third. It is blinking no power because there's nothing using it. So I may change those burner inserters later. I don't know. I'm just trying to decide in my head if there's any point having the burner inserters because they're not as efficient, but it's not exactly going to cause the end of the world. So yeah, we finally come and pick up everything that's accumulated in between episodes. Plenty of ammo and a load of turrets. I could probably maybe be happy with a little bit more ammo as it's mostly normal firearm magazines, not piercing ammo. But I've waited long enough. Didn't want to leave it too long between episodes, but just long enough for us to have about just enough. So we clear out anything in our inventory we don't need in case anything happens to us. and we pick up a few more bits and bobs for some nanobots, etc. And the attacks down on the bottleneck just continue to get worse. So it's a good thing we're about to head down there and deal with this. Because hopefully if the big red blob, big red biter cloud clearing goes okay, we can push the defenses out down there out of the pollution. So we save the game, hence the little edit here, just in case anything goes wrong. And we head on down to investigate. And I start to get quite nervous, or at least past me gets quite nervous at this point, because I don't know what to expect. I've avoided this for a while. These defenses are very damaged, so this is worth doing. I take quite a regular look at evolution. We're currently at 0.8780, so it's nice to see how much that's going to be affected. We deal with a couple of bases here just to keep them back and out of our way, because those defenses are pretty shot, and I'm not going to use any resources. But yeah, I was really excited doing this episode. You might have noticed I was quite excited verbally at the start, and yeah, past me was very nervous coming up to this bit because I didn't know what was going to happen. Didn't know if the game was going to crash, if my machine was going to set on fire, or who knows what. So we deal with a few of these bases just to keep things safe. We don't want biters running from behind us and at us from the big cloud. Could all just spring at us at once. I've been told the biters don't really do anything. They don't even attack you if you walk through them, but I'm certainly not going to be trying that anytime soon. I'm pretty undefended. I have no armor. I don't have any of the armor relevant to the level of evolution we're at. We're solely depending on sniper turrets. They are my guns, I'd be screwed if I had the whole setup turret time that has been mentioned, I believe, that may be implemented to prevent turret pushing. But without turret pushing, this wouldn't be possible. So at about this point, the game really starts to slow down. I've not changed the 3 times speed at any point for this episode. This is all at 3 times speed, so I'm interested to see what this is like recording wise. I don't know how the recording takes it, but it's clearly slowing down. It's almost feeling like normal speed. And to the east there, we also have a lot of biters randomly just running at the lake. I don't know if that's anything to do with the bug, but I leave a couple of turrets in place dealing with that. So we can see the edge of the cloud and we start to push into it. For past me, the game is going so slow at the moment. My camera work isn't great to begin with, but there we go. There we zoom out and we see the full extent of what we're dealing with here. So I decide to start pushing through the middle of it because they're not coming out and running at me. They're almost stationary and doing nothing. Seems almost unfair, really, just shooting them standing still. They can't fight back. But if this crowd did all just suddenly run at me, I would not stand a chance. We would get absolutely flattened. So I noticed my pickaxe is nearly, well, it's my last one and we're almost halfway through it. So I'm a bit worried that it's going to run out while we're doing this. I kind of edge out a little bit and we see just how long the delay is between me placing those turrets and any spitters actually spitting at us. So we continue to carve our way through. We check the FPS and UPS, which is like at 2020, I think. It's going absurdly slow for us. We push out to the side just to get those bases, which will push the evolution up a little bit. We're now at 0.8805. We take the 4 turrets up over at the east bit and some more run out. So I decide to put them back in and I'll just leave them just to prevent any biters from trying to sneak past us. So it's a bit weird. The biters on the very edge are just kind of standing there blocking everyone, and all the biters behind it are just kind of moving around and not really able to go anywhere. So pretty weird bug. It's going to add some pretty crazy statistics to my endgame stats for biter killing. This is probably all the biters I've killed in the game again. Well, maybe not that many, but it's a pretty ridiculous amount. So this is going absurdly slow for past me, but the biter movement does start to speed up a bit. I start to get more and more nervous being completely surrounded by this many biters. I start to think, is it wise cutting through the middle? Are they all just suddenly going to squash me? I don't know. But they certainly did attack me when I moved out in range of the spitters. So we've almost cut our way all the way through. We keep checking the FPS, UPS to see how that's doing. We're at about 20 FPS, 30 UPS, which is pretty appalling. and we've cut through to the other side. So we start to deal with the east group first, as that's the smaller one, and then we'll deal with the west. Keep an eye on how much ammunition we've got by how much autofill is putting down. We're still putting 10 in each turret there, so we're fairly okay. And the autofill for existing entity doesn't seem to be limited by the long reach upgrade stuff. And there we go, we've dealt with the east. Yeah, I've never really seen anything like this. This is absolutely insane. I'm guessing it's a bug with rampant AI, because I've never seen this with Bob's Warfare, and I've played with that quite a lot, but I don't know, maybe I've just not been in the right scenario. So there's an edit there, as I wanted to save the screenshot I'd taken a few minutes earlier of the main crowd, and another one there. So apologies for the interruption there, that's not great, but I had to pause the game to go and alt tab and save it. So I believe that's the last edit, so that's the last we'll have of past me messing around with screenshots, because it's his fault, it's not mine. I'm just the one who has to edit it out. Anyway, so we carry on pushing the rest of the group, and they start to get more and more lively as we go along. The speed of the game's almost back to normal, and the biters start to really free up a little bit. So this last group here is still pretty big and quite dense, so we keep pushing into it. And there's another bloody edit, because past me decided to take another screenshot and he wanted to save it. So that is now the last one, so I do apologise about that. It is the last one. He just, not me, nothing to do with me, he just wanted to get some screenshots of it, because I've seen nothing like this. So now, this is where the biters start to get really lively. Look at that crowd. They're really starting to jive and dance. Suddenly they freeze a bit weirdly, and then they make a massive charge, and they start to do some real damage. Just to add to the situation, I run out of ammo as a large group of biters start to creep up behind me, and I start to feel a little bit overwhelmed. Am I going to make it out of this alive? I don't know. I'm quite low on ammo. The crowd, or the last of the big red blob, starts to free up and come at me, and we produce this lovely multicoloured candy floss patch. But yeah, I decide enough's enough. We've dealt with the patch. It's time to get away. We remove the turrets. We just saved that last one, and we get away with the skin of our teeth. Momentarily got the car out, but then decided we're going to make a last stand here. I believe this is the last of the group coming at us. It might have been that crowd creeping to the south of us. But yeah, we start to clear a path to put some turrets here. Now, it's not the most narrowest bit of the bottleneck, but I want to include most of these oil patches. We can move it forward later when we got more turrets, but I might want to utilize this crude oil later on. So we put in a nice thick line of Mark II sniper turrets and 3 layers of wall just to be sure. But this area is nice and pushed back away from the wall. So this is a pretty secure line of defense. Probably the most secure line of defense on the entire map. But yeah, we've pushed the bases out of the pollution as far as that direction is concerned. The pollution is currently turned off because of the alt tabbing past me decided to annoy me with. So you can't exactly see it. But yeah, that wall down there is just off the edge of the cloud. But this one is just in the pollution cloud. So this one's going to need moving forward. So we start to replace the turrets on it just with sniper turrets instead of normal turrets, because they're more efficient and we have hardly any ammo on us. It looks like it's putting 1 or 2 or 3 magazines in a turret at a time. I'm not sure what I got left. Yeah, it looks like 3 there. So that we can pop back to the base and get a little bit of ammunition and whatever turrets have been produced while we've been down there doing the Red Blob investigation. Red Blob investigation. I don't know why that's such a tongue twister for me. But yeah, it's done with. It's dealt with. Done. Dusted. Sold to the biter in the red hat. Yeah. So anyway, we had a look at the power there, and solar's been doing pretty well. Steam has even been able to switch off entirely at some points, if I was understanding that graph correctly. But yeah, it seems to be doing pretty well. But the base is nowhere near at full speed at the moment, so solar would not deal with the base doing research or anything like that, so we need to continue to expand this quite a bit. This is the most basic level of solar panel and the high capacity accumulators. So this isn't the most efficient use of space, but I'll either replace this later on or upgrade, and the rest of the placement will be done with new ones. I don't know. I don't know if I can be bothered to tear it all down later on. We'll see how the construction bots feel about it. So we come back to the steam power, and I decide to put in some normal inserters. That flashing is a little bit annoying, and at the time I couldn't really think of any reason to keep in the burner inserters, and to be honest, I still can't. I can't imagine a situation where they would now be needed, as there's always going to be a small amount of power coming from the solar to at least power the inserters, say if the coal ran out. But I don't know, we shall see. But as you can see on the mini-map, the pollution cloud has almost completely gone from around here. The pollution is switched back on, so I'm not sure exactly when I did that. I must have noticed, past me must have noticed, sorry, and dealt with that. And I come and have a look back in my personal chest just to see if there's any stuff in there that I like the look of and want back in my inventory. There's a few more things I've just spotted, like some miners that might be nice. But yeah, we come and grab some more ammo and some more Mark II sniper turrets. Then we head back down to deal with the rest of these defenses, because we've got a good third or quarter of the episode left to do things, and I'm quite happy. You know, we've dealt with the big red cloud. It's a large weight off my shoulders and my computer's CPU. We don't look at the UPS again, but I believe we're back to 60 frames a second and pretty much 60 UPS. I believe that's what it normally runs at. I don't know. My PC's getting on a little bit, but it should be able to deal with a normal sized base. So we come and push these bases back because I want to utilize these little bottlenecks here. It's a nice place for, you know, roughly a small amount of turrets to deal with a larger group than they would if the biters were running straight at them. But it's nice because the rampant AI can't sort of prod the defenses around them. They either go through here or they don't. You know, it's a nice bottleneck. It's probably the best bottleneck you could ask for. If you could place water wherever you wanted, you would just be surrounded by water, and then you'd have tiny little bottlenecks like this where fighters just physically would be able to get through, which would be a bit ridiculous, I'm not going to lie. It's not my kind of thing. Maybe some people would like that, but I like the challenge in Factorio of slaying thousands of biters, which is what we've pretty much just done. That was great fun killing the cloud, but I also felt kind of bad for the biters because they didn't get to attack like this. This little crowd threatened me so much more than that huge, massive red blob. Not exactly the best name for it, but whatever. So we fill in some more Mark 1s. I kind of think, yeah, this is probably going to be adequate here. And I sort of walk off, but it does get peppered a few times by biters and could probably do with upgrading a little bit more. But we are short on Mark 2s. So I leave it for now. It'll do for now. Once I leave, so long as there's no pollution reaching past it and onto the nest, it should do all right. We also come and push these bases up away from the gap so that they're not triggering attacks from the bases kind of across the lake, because I believe that's what would happen, because that base just over the other side of the lake to the east there is pretty close. Then we come and dump some crude defenses in and a bit of wall. Not many turrets, nowhere near enough now I'm looking at it, but you know, faith in the bottleneck, I guess. We then head up here. This is the other bit that needs dealing with. They're able to get around the gap at the edge of the lake there. So we move these turrets because they're not really being used anymore, and we come and shift them further up. But we get a crowd creeping through, trying to find me out. We deal with those with the Mark II turrets. So this is all in aid of just pushing the biters back out of the pollution cloud, so they're not regularly peppering the defenses. They're only ever occasionally getting killed when they're searching out new places to spawn. And I come back, have a check on the coal miners, because it was, I think, in between last episode and this one, or maybe a bit earlier, I came and removed all the Mark IIs from the Infinite patch, and Mark IIIs, and put some Mark IIs on the edges to be a bit more energy efficient, because I didn't really like the look of having Mark IIIs on the permanent bit. It looked like it was using the full power of the miner, but not getting the coal in relation to the energy it was using. Then we start losing some turrets over to the east, and I panic a bit, crashing the car into a turret when I hopped out. And we're going to move these 2 patches forward and use them on the wall. A little bit risky, as those patches were quite effective. They were their ranges were just about crossed over, so any biter groups sort of sneaking between them would get attacked by both patches, and it kind of seemed to work quite well. So we come and slap those turrets down here and hope that, the biters aren't going to get past here. They're only temporary, so we're not going to put walls in or anything, or make it nice and neat like they should be. And we come and have a look at removing these turrets to push this wall forward, as a couple of the biters bases that we can see on the minimap there that we're about to go and destroy are just on the edge of the pollution cloud and are the reason for that large candy cotton, that doesn't sound right, candy floss, that's better. But yeah, it's the reason for the big candy floss patch just there. So if we push the defenses up to the edge of the pollution cloud, the biters won't continuously throw themselves at the wall and deplete the turrets of ammunition. So we push this last base back that we'll need to get rid of to put the wall in here. It's going to go roughly where those turrets are, just west of me. So yeah, it should be a lot better defended than before, and they won't keep bothering us while we're trying to sort things up in the north. So turrets just up there, north of us, start to get attacked again. It's not great. They do start to get overwhelmed a bit. I believe they're a bit too close to a biter base. Every time some biters come out and get clipped off by the turrets, that then causes the nest to send out biters to defend them or avenge them, which then in turn triggers another attack, and it kind of gets stuck in this little perpetual loop. It has just stopped now, I've said that, but it does get attacked in a minute, and it is going to need looking at. But I'll probably do that in between episodes, because we've kind of just done it, and I don't really know what I'm going to do there. I might need another base pushing back, and we're getting close to the end of the episode. So we start to put in these defenses here. We've essentially just moved that other wall forward. I do run out of wall placing it along here, so I will go and grab that other bit of wall, but I'll do that in a bit. So that's all we're going to have time for today. Been a successful episode dealing with, or should I say, investigating the big red blob. I do hope you guys have enjoyed watching. Please do come and join me in the next episode. But until then, bye-bye.